Hello, MoodleMoot Rwanda. Martin Dugiam's here, and I'm here in Perth, not there in Rwanda and Kigali where I'd love to be. I have been there before and enjoyed eLearning Africa and the MoodleMoot very much. Maybe some of you were there as well. But this year I'm going to have to do it remotely, I'm sorry, and hopefully this is okay for you. Today I'm going to talk about using AI to make education amazing, and I'm the founder of Moodle, if you don't know, and I'm currently the head of research. Until the beginning of this year I was also the CEO, but we now have the very wonderful Scott Anderberg as the CEO of Moodle, and he was just talking to you a moment ago, I believe. So here we are together in Perth at the start of this year. I am going to talk to you today about AI in this way. At the start of Moodle, back in the early 1990s, I was very excited by the way the internet and the new web was happening and the potential that it had for education in general and for all the things we do. It took some time for the internet to pervade the world as it has, but I think you would definitely say that it is now in everything. We use the internet for many, many things, including enabling this very talk that we're doing now. What I've been saying in the last few years and really thinking about is that the wave of AI, artificial intelligence, and augmented reality as well, those two things in particular, I think they're going to impact everything even more than the invention of the internet did. Now, it's not going to be straight away. Just like the internet, it's going to take a while. There's going to be a lot of mistakes. There's going to be a lot of new problems as well as new successes, but it will impact us all immensely. So that will affect everything, including education, and we need to talk about that. My Moodle research team is quite small, but Moodle research works by being part of the community, and of course we need to research new technologies and new people, and we do a number of things, and these are very quickly the things that we're doing, and I'm going to go through these with you through this talk. So we support Moodle LMS in getting AI particularly into there. We have a couple of projects that we're trying out, some things that we think will work or might work, and we're testing those. So there's a Coach, which is an app for learners. There is MoodleBot, which is a chat bot for group chats to support learning organizations. There's MoodleNet, which is about curating high quality trusted education resources. And there's the Open EdTech Association, which is about creating a collaborative ecosystem around open education technology. So we're going to talk about all of these. You can join us and be part of it all here on our website, which is actually just a course on moodle.org, the main community website for Moodle. And if you want to go there, here's the address, moodle.me/research. And there is this QR code, which will be coming up later as well. Some of the things we've been doing very recently around Moodle LMS is we've been doing surveys. We've done 3 so far that talk to the community about the needs that they have and the things that they see AI being useful for. And in this most recent survey, you can see that there are some tasks that have been identified as being most useful for AI to replace what people are doing. And we're focusing on admin tasks because nobody likes doing boring admin. And these are things that AI should be doing, is the boring things that people don't want to do. Actually, a lot of the fuss is about how it can write very well and how it can be creative. Those are the fun things that people like to do. They're actually less interesting for AI. AI should be doing the boring things that we don't want to do. So I'll read a couple out here. So some of the top ones for students are finding and generating examples and explanations to support content, which is quite interesting. or surfacing relevant content that might be in your big database that is based on the current activity that you're doing. So those are, helping you find and search and reconceptualize things. So that seems like quite a useful thing for AI. If you look for educators, the most popular responses were around creating activities based on content or designing and improving courses. Teachers are often wrestling with creating courses and designing them and creating new activities, and that takes a lot of time. Nobody's learning very much while they're doing it. It just takes time. Would it be great if you had a big text for the subject that you're actually trying to teach, and you could automatically generate a quiz to test your comprehension of that piece of content? So that's some examples for teachers. And for administrators, one of the top things people want to see is analysing logs, so just understanding what's going on my site, and also assisting people using Moodle. I think AI could be quite useful for helping you with techniques and information about doing any particular thing that you need to do at that moment. So there's some, good feedback from the community about LMS, and these are things that we feed to the Moodle core team, and you'll be hearing later from Maria Shaw about products. I believe it's Marie, it might be someone else, sorry if it isn't, but you'll be hearing about things that the product team are doing, and this information we feed to those to the other teams so that they can start looking at those things. One of the things the core team are doing now, which is really important, is working on an AI subsystem. So you can imagine with Moodle, if you're adding lots of AI here and there and lots of different AIs, maybe tools from around the world and different around the web, or local AIs that you have running on your machine, it could become an administrative nightmare. You'll have content flowing in and out, you won't have control over it, you won't know what's going on. So something the Moodle core team are doing right now is working on a subsystem, which means something for the administration of AI so that it can be implemented in a nice, clean way. So maybe you have one AI in the background and it's doing 20 or 30 different jobs around the site, and you have good control over all of that. Another thing we've decided as a company, as an organization and a community is our AI principles, and they're these, right? Being human-centered, always being human-centered, thinking about people, and it's very important with education in particular. Very important. Because what is education but trying to improve a brain? And to do that, the brain needs to work. You can't outsource learning, and you can't even outsource teaching, really. You need to let people just do those core activities really well. You need people to work and do those things. Let's get rid of the admin, but let's not get rid of the teaching and the learning. Being transparent is very important, being configurable, having total control as a Moodle site over what you're doing, protecting people's data and security, equality for all, making sure nobody is disadvantaged. So, for example, not building everything around some very expensive AI product that only some people could afford, for example. Being ethical and having education. It's very important that as we roll things out, that we include education around that so that people understand what they're for and how to use them and when they're good and when they're not, and that kind of thing. So, yeah, this is our principles, and they're standing strong, and we follow those with all the work we do. The subsystem, as I said, will bring together lots and lots of different AIs into a nice, clean interface inside Moodle, and it'll fit in really well. Before I talk about the rest of the things that the research team are doing, I want to talk about the why we're doing them and go back to look at what's going on in the world right now, from my perspective, in today's world. Everyone would say nothing is great. Well, I wouldn't say nothing is great. What I mean is everyone would say there are a lot of problems in the world, right? There's no... It's definitely the case that we are facing a lot of very big challenges. And humanity has always had big challenges. I'm not saying it's all new, but some of these are new and some of them are very serious. I won't go into all of these, but I'm sure you're aware of a number of them. The UN came up with the Sustainable Development Goals something like 15 years ago, and that really is the only global agenda to solving these kinds of problems that we've had. And you can see them here listed. I'm sure you've seen this before. But the most important one out of those for me is quality education and making it inclusive and equitable. How do we get great education to every single person on the planet? It doesn't matter where they live, what their wealth is, or what their status is, or anything. How do we do that? That is the big problem, because if we can improve education, we can improve all those other things. Right? All those sustainable goals are solvable through education. But, if we're talking about quality education, some people might say, well, we have quality education already. Some people say, oh, I'm educated, right? Are we? Are we well educated? Because the possibility is that we could do a lot more than we are. This is a funny quote from Robert Heinlein, and he talks about all the things that a person should do, and there's a lot of different funny things here that you could do. And I'm sure you think in your own world that there's a lot more you could do at any moment, right? But the truth is that most of us in the last decades have been learning less and less. We've actually been becoming more specialized because we have to work for a living. We have to get a career going. We learn one thing and we go quite deep on that thing. And somebody becomes a shop owner, or they are focusing on, or they become a doctor, or they become a physicist, or they get into finance, or, many, many things. As a result, with our specialization, we're not actually that well educated. Most of us probably couldn't read a high-level chemistry paper from this, currently being published and really understand it. Most of us couldn't read most academic papers and understand them, and that specialization that's going on. I actually think that if we took away that need to work for a living, then we would have a lot more time and to learn more things, to learn things that we didn't need to know, but we wanted to know, we would like to know. And that, to me, feels like a golden age for learning. So actually, it's a pretty exciting time for education and learning and solving problems that we can do that. Now, how do we take away this whole thing about having to work for a living? Well, automation. And there is an automation wave that is coming at us. We're only seeing very, very, very small end of it, but there is a lot more coming. So let's talk about LLMs, the large language models in the heart of AI. They are pretty smart. They are fairly intelligent. Yes, they make mistakes and so on, but if you look at how they pass tests, just the traditional IQ tests, they are beating human beings across the board, and they're only improving. Actually, the improvements in the last couple of years have been absolutely exponential, and this exponential curve is increasing. The power of AI right today is the weakest, most stupidest AI you're ever going to see again. It's only going to get better and smarter and more capable. Let's look at a few examples. So you've seen media generation, I guess. Very high quality, long videos can be generated now with AI from scratch with no reference to the real world. It's just looked at a lot of videos, as well as texts, as well as audio, as well as deep fakes and so on. There's a lot of media possible that can be generated. And that just shows you some of the power of the LLM. This will increase a lot when we add memory to AIs. You may notice if you've used AIs up till now that they don't tend to remember much of your past conversations. This is changing already in a big way and will continue to change. They will be remembering, they will be learning. And this is where being in the education field is so interesting, because we have to think, how do we educate our AIs? How do we set them up so they're learning and getting better and better and better at whatever tasks that they're working on? So that's happening. Another thing I'm seeing happening is the integration into existing systems. Some of them are very noticeable, like integrating into an operating system. So most of the big tech companies have announced AI is being fitted into everything they put out. Microsoft just this week talked about their new Copilot PC, which will be recording your screen on Windows all of the time. Now, that is not a very nice thing, and we'll talk about corporate stuff later on, but that's happening. And you'll see it on your phones, you'll see it in all your apps. I think in Africa, WhatsApp is very popular, which is a Meta product. WhatsApp now has Meta AI running standard in it as well. But more than that, you'll see AI integrated with all the infrastructure of the internet, the infrastructure of governments, the infrastructure of companies. And that means AI has more data. It means it's more connected. It means it has more ability to correlate and bring together information and do more and more and more. Going the other way, you can also see a trend towards AIs being very specifically built for a very specific task. And that is also very interesting, because a smaller AI like that can actually fit on more devices. And so you'll see more AIs in security cameras, and more AIs in doorbells, and more AIs in light switches, and all around the place. Anywhere there's electronics, there'll start being AI. Those small models, they tend to be open source. A lot of people are actually releasing them out publicly. You can see here on Hugging Face, which is a very popular website for open source, there are over 500,000 models, AI models, 500,000 models, separate different models, all good at different tasks and good for different things. And these are things you can just go and download and do anything you want and run it on your local machines. I'm not going to go too much into this, but augmented reality is really becoming a very usable thing. And I would say that probably the Meta Quest, and then particularly the Apple Vision Pro, really showed that it can work. It's still expensive, but it can work. And I'm playing a lot with, I won't play this video too much here, but I'm playing a lot with these kinds of things, glasses, augmented reality glasses, which have waveguide technology, and it means they're not big helmets anymore. These things are just running in your normal glasses. Maybe you're already wearing glasses and now you're adding electronics to it. So now what happens is that the digital world is becoming part of your real world. I mean, we're already putting on these things every morning. I might leave these off now. We're already putting these things on every morning, and so it seems like something quite easy for people to get used to. And the prices will become down and down, and they won't be too expensive. Another thing, a trend that's happening is with robots. And here I've got an example of some robots from 2022. This is from a competition, a robot soccer competition. And in 2022, they weren't very good. They were falling over. They were doing all kinds of stuff. A lot of manual intervention required. Not really that interesting, right? But even in 2023, some robots built by Google using the new AI techniques were way better. So these AIs had learned how to play football by doing millions of hours of practice in a virtual environment, obviously very sped up, inside a computer, and then when put into the real world as a real robot, could suddenly play football quite well. And let's see if this video works here. Okay, well, I'm having some bit difficulty here, but you can see some of the training in virtual reality. So they're training in virtual reality, and then they come out to real reality, and they even learn teamwork. They learn how to kick the ball, how to get up again, and they're very, very robust. Robots in general, even like now in this year, you're seeing dozens of humanoid robots being released, and the cost of some of them at the moment is $8,000 US. Now, that might be a lot of money for some people, but it's pretty cheap for a robot that could literally clean your house and do your dishes and go to work for you probably. The rest of it is software, right? So once we have hardware robots, the rest is AI and software. So pretty incredible things are happening very, very fast. This is the robot from Tesla. I didn't want to. And this is the robot you may remember from a movie, Bicentennial Man, if you've seen it, with Robin Williams. All the things that happen in that movie, or at least the first half, I think are very likely. And maybe the second half as well, where he actually starts asking for human rights. Who knows? I really think that having a robot that is in homes doing stuff is going to be something that we're all going to start seeing in the next 5 years. So not very long. That's probably sooner, actually, in some parts of the world. All of this to say that what is happening with AI and robotics and augmented reality is that it's replacing labor. It's actually replacing work. And that means it is actually taking over jobs and replacing the jobs that we used to do. I'm sure that it will replace jobs, because as soon as it's better or cheaper or faster, then businesses and government and anybody who's employers basically, are going to switch. They will not have a lot of compulsion to keep human beings unnecessarily and pay them more, because let's face it, most employers are focused on the bottom line, and if they can have a workforce that's 10 times as big for the same price, they'll probably do it. The last point is very interesting. If a robot can do a job safer than a human being, it actually becomes immoral to let the human being do it. And that argument's been made for self-driving cars. If an automated car is safer than people driving cars, why would we let people drive cars? Well, we'll see. But even though this might not be true immediately, I think this is the general force that is going to cause change over the coming decades, and we're going to see it happen. What's the best case? So, a utopia. Right? If we manage to sort it out so that robots are doing the work in all the countries, in all the places around the world, and they do it in a way that is that lets us retain our humanity and lets us do the things that we want to do, while the AIs do the things we don't want to do, it could be an amazing world. It could be a world where all of us are effectively super rich. All of us are wealthy. Like, it's just like right now, there are people, billionaires in the world, who already live this lifestyle, right? They have people to ask whenever they need anything done. They don't have to think. They just relax. They can do art if they want to. It doesn't matter. And they act like that. So what if all of us could have that? I mean, it could be interesting, right? So I think a lot of the problems could go away, and we could solve them. You might say, what do we do, right? We're all defined by our work. Well, yes and no, not all of us. The rich people, as I said, don't have to worry about their basic needs. They don't have to worry about houses and food and water and safety. That's all sorted. So they can focus on these things, their psychological needs and self-fulfillment needs. there is plenty to do in there. I think that's where the learning comes in. Maybe you've always wanted to make yourself your own furniture, and make it how you like. So, learn carpentry, or, write a book, or, make a movie, or, do anything you want. There's a lot of possibility there for creativity. And I think if people were freed up and had more time and didn't have anything else to do, there could be quite interesting things there. And one of the things we could all be doing is solving the big problems, those big SDGs, reducing suffering and problems for other people. And it could help us live more harmoniously on the planet. Now, this is the best thing. Now, to make that happen, of course, where's the money going to come from? When you have automation of labor, automation of all the work, we no longer have this picture of scarcity. Most of the economies of the world run on scarcity right now. There is a certain amount of everything, and it must be divided up amongst people in a certain way. And that's often not done very fairly, right? You have inequality, and it's not great. But we don't want that. In the ideal case, you want it to be everyone has enough. And so that's called the universal basic income. It means everybody just gets money for free, and you have a lot of money each. I mean, it doesn't, obviously not infinite, but imagine everyone has a really good salary and doesn't have to worry about it. And if you want to make more money another way, sure, that's fine. Now, there are ways of doing this. People have worked out how to do this, and in short, without going into details, it involves taxing very large companies a lot and using that to pay for everyone else. Now, there's a lot of work. People are trialing it. It is happening in some places, but it's not happening in most places. And I think all of us need to do what we can to push for this situation. What's the worst case look like? Well, the worst case is that there is corporate control getting stronger and larger and bigger, and there are more people unemployed, there is more homeless, there's more people just surviving, there's governments struggling to look after everybody, and that is obviously a terrible case. And in a lot of parts of the world, as I'm sure you know, there are these pockets where it is like that already. That's the problems that we want to get rid of. These are the things we don't want to make them worse. But if very large corporations are owning and controlling all of the machines and making those machines make more money for themselves, there will be increasing inequality. And that's a situation that I don't think anybody wants to see. So we should be working against that as soon as possible. So some of the things that we're doing here, as I mentioned, let's get on to why. That's why we have these projects. So these are things that I think will help in the transition from a pre-AI world to a post or an AI world. And these AIs, I should mention, remember the exponential curve, their intelligence will be eventually much, much greater than us. These are very smart machines, and it's possible to feel kind of meaningless, right, and hopeless in that case. They're not human machines, right? They do some things humans do. They're not humans. They're things we've built, but they will do more than we can do in most cases. So let's look at some. So the first thing here is about the idea of a personal bot for yourself. A personal AI. And you may have seen this movie called Her, and that gets referenced quite a lot. And in fact, OpenAI released some demos just a couple of weeks ago showing basically this already kind of working. A huge problem with OpenAI is that it is a big centralized company. And imagine all of us putting our hopes and dreams and our lives and pouring them into a system that is owned by one big company, and that company itself has the most powerful AIs in the world that can do anything with that information, right? Oh, you want to change an election? Sure, we'll just influence everybody towards that direction. So that is not a good case. And what Coach is about the concept of an AI that is on your device, that is not connected to anything out there, that you own, that is actually 100% focused on your wellness, your individual success, your health as well. And to do that, it would have access to all of your private information, but it all stays on your device, and it's able to help you all day long and talk to you, and be very, very adaptive. But it is focused on being helpful to you all the time. So that's what Coach is about. The second one is kind of similar, MoodleBot, but imagine that is in a chat room and that MoodleBot is connected to, you wouldn't call it MoodleBot if you installed it in your place. You might call it something else. But it would be an AI that understands everything in your organization or your team. It's following all the stuff that's going on, and it's helping the team. It's helping the team at all times with just the right information, or connecting things up, or doing the planning, or even doing management, managing the project. And there's a lot of possibility there to really improve how we work together as well. And it's still a learning thing, because I always view organizations as a learning group, group of people who are learning together. It's I think, a good way to look at any organization. Our other project here is MoodleNet, and that's about curating resources. It looks a bit like this. Now, why is this important? Well, already I've seen statistics that over 10% of everything on the internet has been AI generated, and a lot of it is fake. A lot of it is wrong. A lot of it is not truthful. And so if you're used to using Google or some search engine to go and find stuff for teaching, well, you may find wrong stuff, and you might put it in, and that's obviously very toxic for education. So MoodleNet is about curating information, particularly for educators, getting resources that are quality, rating them, and curating them, and letting the quality come to the top so you can find them easier. And that's what MoodleNet's about. And we use AI in MoodleNet. So AI is helping you with some of the categorization. It's doing some of the admin tasks, as I said. So that's some things we're doing there. And the very last thing is the Open EdTech Association, which is a new association that is about defining open education technology, certifying organizations to say you are open edtech or you're not open edtech, and giving them a badge. And all of us working together there to think about what are the standards to let open education technology happen? What are the interoperability standards that we really need? There are many, many standards out there, but we only need a small subset of standards to agree on and to make sure everyone is implementing, to make all the Lego pieces fit together so we can build educational solutions. And that's what Open EdTech is about. And you can find that on openedtech.global. And so that's what we're doing. That's the Moodle research team and what I'm working on these days. I'm still very excited by this. As you can probably hear, AI has been exciting me for a long time. I'm particularly pressured because I can see a lot of bad things happening with AI, and we need to counter that. We need to avoid centralizing. We need to avoid putting AI in the hands of giant companies that put them out around the world. We need to stop sending our data to them. We need to take back control and make AI work for everybody. And if you're interested in that, come and talk to us, Moodle research team here, moodle.me research. Join us. We have a meeting every 2 weeks. And let's make this happen, right? Let's make this nice world happen. I think we can do it. So thank you for listening to me. I really appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Bye.